And we're live. Okay. Now you probably know the routine by now if you've been on the last 3 masterclasses. If you haven't, let me just introduce myself really quick. I'm Laura Volpin-Testa. I'm the founder of Fashion Illustration Tribe, an online self-paced fashion design, sorry about the lighting, fashion design and illustration school. I've been teaching at Parsons School Design, New York City. Let me fix this. For 20 years, and I've had the unique, beautiful experience of teaching everything from pattern making and draping and sewing, 6-hour-long, year-long classes, studios, to, someone's just asked for the link. I will send you, okay, to portfolio, model drawing, beginner model drawing, design concepts, designing collections, design sketching, etc. So I decided finally, I feel like I've outgrown the university setting. I want to do a much more soul-based, same professional skills I always taught, but I'm like so ready to let my students put their heart first without all the restrictions of a university setting. So I always put the heart first in my classes, but now I don't have to grade, I don't have to rush people, and we get to do it our way. Oh my gosh, what's up with my face glowing? Okay, just one more minute, guys. Okay, and then I'm going to share this to the page. So I need you to know that this is step 3. We have 2 one-hour masterclasses that were hosted this week. They're all, let me just pull up the group and put it in the group. Just a second. They're all sponsored by my courses, including my Freedom Fashion program, because what I'm doing this year is all of January, I'm doing these free classes, and I'm opening the cart for all of my courses, coaching, and programs. So just so you know, you can always get coaching for a course and have weekly or bi-weekly 1-hour one-on-one sessions with me. But the other way that you can work your course is as a self-study, and that's like a whole other price set. So you get to decide. But what I'm doing is I'm opening enrollment and giving these live classes all through January. And when January closes up, the carts close and we buckle down. Again, you can pace yourself. You do not need to rush through your classes. You're never behind because you're always somewhere. We're always working where you're at, meet you where you're at. But then we run through May. So I'm not crazy about like university setting, but the one thing that I love about a university is the semesters. I love that like 16-week setting. And again, you can take 3 years to take your class. That's fine. But this year I'm experimenting with having this focused energy through like end of January to end of May, regardless of what pace everyone chooses. Like my coaching is going to be running through those months. So just letting you know. All those links are in a drop-down menu on my website, fashionillustrationtribe.com. You have links to all the courses. If there's a course there or a coaching program that you want that you don't see there, you can email info@fashionillustrationtribe.com. Don't worry, we are going to get to the content in just a few minutes. But once I get into the content, I can forget some of this stuff, and people are still rolling in, so I'm just going to let you know. The other thing I wanted to let you know, here it is sharing to the group, Fashion Tree Ballistas. If you're not in that group, you can just click to join anytime to get in there. And okay, I wanted to make sure that it's in the group so people in the group will see it more easily. It's easier for them to find. Masterclass number 3. Tonight we're going to do design and fabric rendering because we're working with a stripe and I want to show how the interplay works. Okay, now that is shared in the group. Fantastic. I'm going to go to the group so that I can catch questions that people post in the group. So the great thing about these live masterclasses is the interaction. I love when one or more of us come together, there's a magical presence. There's a unique personality that is us together. And even in the comments in the replay, who shows up, If you're catching the replay, please put hashtag replay in the comments so I know you're here and I'll be able to welcome you later. Patty, you made it. Yes. So today we're going to get into the fabric rendering, but we're also, my plan is that we're going to be doing some planning before we render the fabric. In this sketch, we're going to play with the direction of the stripes and maybe designing with flats a little bit. Now, I just said that, but I'm going to feel the room. So Patty, hi, please let me know if there's a certain question or a certain direction you'd like to go in. You're here first. You can, run the show. And I also have you penciled in for 2 o'clock on the 22nd for your coaching. So let me know if that changes so I can put some other work schedule in there. But I have it held for you right now. And I will continue to oh no, what just happened? Okay, I lost my page, but I'm going to get it back. That's weird. Okay, sometimes you got to just give up on having everything work the way you want, especially when it's this techie stuff. So, in first masterclass, these replays are all up on Facebook. So if you're here, you can just scroll down to find them. They're also temporarily up on YouTube and in the Facebook group. So until Monday night, you guys can just watch all these videos as much as you want. After I take them down, I'm just going to add them to like a bundle that I'll tag onto another class as like a bonus or make a course out of it or whatever. Okay, here we go. I see what happened. All right. Now, okay. Paula made it in. Oh, that's so cool. Because, Paula, I just added you to the group. I didn't get your ad request until right now. All right. Now the comments are showing, and we can go. So, thoughts. One is, I'm not going to move my illustration because, remember, I taped her down. Actually, it's okay to lift her right now because she's dry. The reason I taped her down, and pardon me, I'm catching a cold. So I'm like not feeling all myself right now. But once we get into this, I know I'll forget everything. All right, this is what we did, and this was taped down so that when we painted it, you see this? You see how it's like perfect? If I hadn't taped it down, it would be more wrinkly. And it's amazing, like in classes, when we'll usually do a thing where everyone brings in their work and we all hang it on one big wall so we can see everything up. We can step back and away from our work. As you all know, it's important to step away from your work. Which is another reason why I like the slowness of gouache. We talked about this the other day. Because it's so slow, you're constantly, hi Paula, you need to take the time to like take a water break, take a bathroom break, wait for something to dry, work on something else. And the beauty of that is that you walk away and you come back. You walk away and you come back. And that stepping away gives you fresh eyes every time. So some of the things that were going on here where we had a sheer fabric. Another thing that was going on is we have this gathering through this romper, and then we have, it's all gathered into like ties at the bottom. They're actually faux kind of ties. Like this isn't a drawstring, it's just a decorative piping, and everything's gathered into it, so it's controlled. We designed a pocket in the side, and then we have like a sort of a fitted yoke, and then gatherers going into straps. The gatherers are fitting the bust. And guys, what do you think about closures? So this comes up a lot in my classes. It's like, well, how do you want this to open and close? So don't forget to think about that when you're sketching. I mean, it's fun. Those are the functional design problems that we have to solve. So I'm thinking right now, this could be like, I don't know, a center back zip or a side zip. But I really like designs that, I call it integrated. Like I like when they don't feel, to me it would be kind of contrived to have a side zip, and it would be even a little weird to have a back zip. I love things you can like pull on and off. So like everyone has their function, their values and their own philosophy about design. Paula. Thank you. Okay, so Patty's zipper in the back. And you know what that means? That means that Patty is much more happy to put zippers in than I am. So I'm smocking the back so that she can pull this thing up over, put her feet in and pull it all the way up. I want it to be like dressy and like casual at the same time. I want her to be able to pull it on and pull it off. So yeah. So elastic back and pull on is what I'm thinking. And actually that's going to bring in a bunch of other questions like, is it going to be deep neckline in the back? Is it going to be high neckline? How much of it needs to be elastic for it to be possible to pull it on and pull it off? Right? So we all have, and that brings me back to flats again too. So it might be in flats where I'm going to make decisions about the back. But you know, whether I ever make this or not, I'm so in love with the questions and I'm in love with the answers. Yeah, you're right. Smocking sounds complicated to sew. You're right. You're right. So maybe what I'm thinking is having like a panel in the back of rows of elastic stitching. So I actually mean like fake elastic smocking, and or a few rows of like elastic. So I'm stretching the elastic while I'm stitching it to the fabric, and then the back all becomes sort of smock looking. So another great thing you can do with your sketches and with your design book is creating samples. You could even if you're actually making it, it's great to make a sample before you go into sewing your final garment. And the funny thing is, guys, if you were at masterclass number 2, we sketched and colored this before I found this fabric, which is something, usually I always work with fabric in hand. And I had yes. So crisscross, this could turn into a crisscross in the back with a bear. I want it to be like kind of bare from shoulder blades to waist. And then have a little elastic just in that area. Possibly even, actually this maybe could have like a bow. You're giving me ideas. I need a pencil. Okay, I need to get to the drawing table. But I like to do this first so that I can connect with you guys. The idea of having crisscross stuff in the back is making me super excited. And you know what else is making me excited is as I'm holding this, I'm feeling how drapey and light it is. So it's a seersucker. Seersucker means that, it's a flat woven, and then some of the vertical stripes are longer than, the threads are longer than the others. So they literally have a textural appearance, they pucker. I love how seersucker rhymes with pucker, and it kind of puckers. And I don't know that you can see that texture. I bet you can. All right, so that's going to be fun. And it works perfectly with the colors that are in my picture. Now, here's something that comes up a lot with students. They'll be like freaking out, like, I don't have a pencil that color. You don't have to have, me too. You don't have to have every color pencil or paint in the book in the world. You just don't, because having a few of all the basic foundation colors you'll need means you can just mix colors. And colored pencils on gouache, I'm going to show you that tonight, they can be sheer. If you take a colored pencil, a good quality colored pencil, and you use the side of it instead of the tip, especially if you use the side of it, it lays down areas of sheer textured tone. So does this not, like shoelaces with a string woven into each side through holes? I'm so excited because Paula and I both went to Parsons. Paula didn't major in fashion design. And this isn't it. universal language. You don't have to major in fashion design to know this stuff. Not only that, but Paula is, when it comes to like fancy evening gowns, I've seen all, you know fashion. I just love the dresses, your concert clothes your daughter has and everything. It's amazing. Like drop dead dresses, floor length, everything. So, I like that. And Paula had recommended, hi Doreen. Paula had recommended crisscross, right? Well, then even crisscross, we have so many ways to interpret that. It could be two really wide, flat crisscrossing straps, or it could be loops with spaghetti strap going back and forth. It could be so many ways that could be interpreted, right? No, Paula, you are fashion. I love it. So let's say I painted it all dark pink, which I actually did. I can use even a white colored pencil sheerly to create this effect that's white mixed with pink, which is literally white threads woven into pink threads. So we'll go to the tabletop in one more minute. You see these little swatches I made during step 1, which was where I was testing color? Well, I forgot that it's really wise and wonderful to make big swatches of the colors you're using. Skin, crisscross wide, I like that. How about elastic on the ends? I'm not sure what you mean, but I got an idea that I really like from that. And here's the thing, I'm going to say this again. I've said many times before, sorry to change the subject. When you're in the design process, do you notice how the rapid fire ideas start to come, right? Okay, so when we do like quick poses in model drawing and fast sketching in fashion, there's a lot of reasons for that. One of my favorite reasons for that is, again, if you have a 2-minute pose and it's gone, that's beautiful because you're going to work with energy, impulse, you're going to capture essence, and you're not going to have time to judge and control what you're doing. You only have time to capture the most relevant information and prioritize what you see and prioritize what you're thinking and feeling. This is something I love about fashion drawing forms. Okay, but when you're designing, like your ideas come faster than you can catch them. They come faster than you can draw them. They always will, especially if you just had Starbucks, and I just did. But if you've developed quick sketching skills, to me, I always say it's like you cast a net, like you're fishing. You cast out this big net. When you've opened the doors to design exploration, you have to know that there's going to be like hundreds of fish, and you're going to catch what you catch. You're going to catch what you catch. So the quick sketching skills help you catch more ideas because they will come and they will go. They will swim straight through and out the other side. Tell me if this experience resonates with you. And yes, you can always sketch tomorrow and the next day and the day after that and keep building. But you're always going to be like, oh, there was another idea that I didn't even get to draw. And that's okay. But and somehow there's a little bit of a heartbreak too, because you fall in love with all of your ideas and you want to see them. And that's what the croquis process is about. So croquis, okay, I've been sharing a sketchbook on Instagram this week. Croquis book is your design sketchbook. And to me, that's my favorite part of all of this. It's not the finished illustrations. It's not the dresses we make. It's that croquis book. It's that book that you fill with swatches and sketches and sketch, working through your ideas, putting in images of like your inspiration photos and all that stuff. Okay, well, I love portfolios and stuff too, but I really love that process. So this is not a croquis book, but Here's an example I did in one of my classrooms at school, for example. Like I had a fabric story, right? A fabric board. And then I sketched these models and rendered the fabrics, right? But even though I did this in like an hour or something, demonstrating step by step with some little breaks because we had to wait for paint to dry, the point of that is that quick sketching ideas, bringing ideas to life, and taking your fabric and then bringing it into something real. I kind of lost my... Croquis are usually smaller illustrations so that you can also sketching smaller will help you get your ideas out more quickly and easily. And what I want to encourage you and support you to do is fill books with ideas to kind of journal your design. Even for simply the fact that this is life-giving, it's joyful, it's relaxing, it's creative, it takes you out of your daily realities and into a place where you can tap into your muse. And we all need that somewhere in our lives. And okay, so I wanted to get some sketch paper and show you some... Okay, before I painted those sketches, here we go. I wanted a piece of slightly transparent paper. Let me just look at this for 1 second, see if I missed any comments. So Paula says, ideas snowball. So true. In many creative endeavors, fashion design, photography, and you're a photographer, writing, many things. Writing too, right? It's like you can't get it out fast enough. And Paula, I actually forgot, you're a voracious writer. I remember because we used to write some letters back and forth. It's like write a lot. The faster you can type or write, right? You literally, the more ideas you're going to catch before they're gone. So speed serves us in that way. It's not that speed ever has to be an oppressive thing. It's just that speed sometimes allows us to embrace more of our inspiration while we're there. That's all. One time when I was working at for Target in the swimwear and cover-ups, I remember the fastest I ever had to draw was like, they gave me this big pile of samples and they're like, we're shipping these overseas in 2 hours and we need them all sketched first. Quick. And so, it's funny because that must have been pre-cell phone, because why didn't we just snap pictures of them? I had to sketch super quick. Struggling with getting the illustrations done quickly, Doreen says. Quickly enough. More practice needed. I'm going to address this too before I do more demonstration. So for one thing, illustrations done quickly enough to capture your ideas, or just that the whole process is long? Because for me, my personal experience was that in school, let's say, we were always doing groups of illustrations. We were always doing sets. So it would be like 8 to 10 illustrations, let's say, would be due the next morning or the next week. And the thing with that was the first time you do a collection of 8 illustrations, oh, okay. Yeah. It hurts. It's painful. So one aspect of this that I've come to peace with is faith. It's just who I am these days. Everything comes back to some kind of a faith. So I have to believe that the ideas that come, like even coming on this live stream, the subjects that come up, the people who show up, the things we do are going to be what's meant to be. And whatever doesn't get captured, darn it, I guess it's okay, Why would I be tortured for having ideas? Okay, when I am out and about, I want to get ideas down. It's a really great challenge to think about. Because one thing you could do, well, not really. I was going to say, the iPad or whatever. You could snap pictures of inspirations you see around you. But it's true. How do you capture them? Do you take your notepad and push record and record a verbal version of your idea and then go home and try to sketch it? Or do you trust, maybe you trust that all of those observations and ideas that you're getting every day while you're out and about, at the movies, on the street, in the city. I know you travel a lot, Doreen. What an incredible gift to be in so many places. You are honing your taste and your story every time you're having ideas. Every idea invites. Ooh, have you guys read Big Magic by, you know what I mean, the Eat, Pray, Love? I'm not going to remember her name right now, even though it's like right there. She wrote a book called Big Magic. I actually didn't finish it. I liked it, and some little bits bothered me because they were true. She said ideas are in the air. Elizabeth Gilbert, who I always think is the girl from Little House on the Prairie, but that's not. I swear her name is Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote a book called Big Magic about creativity. And I'm going to go back. I know there's more comments I really want to get to. She said, ideas, they come, and you got to get them when they come. And if you don't, they're going to go to someone else. Like, I really disliked that belief. But I also, some of it's true. Like, you know how sometimes people be like, I put my whatever up and people are copying it. And sometimes I'm like, sometimes people may seem to be copying people, but sometimes there is stuff that is in the air, or it's like a universal desire that's a consciousness that's coming, you know? All right. So my point is, you know, will ideas be lost? You know, what about that book I've been wanting to write for 10 years? Will someone else write it? In fact, I don't know if any of you guys follow Zoe Hong on like YouTube, fashion teacher, doing all these great classes. Like one day I was like, oh, why should I do what I'm doing anyway if I didn't know, you know, she already did it and she's teaching all the stuff they teach at school. And all of a sudden I was like, wait, that's perfect. Now I don't have to teach that stuff. Like, yay. What if we believe that is always good for us, is always in our favor, everything is lining up just right for us? If she's done that, I don't have to. I can do my part, right? My bit, the parts I like best, and I don't have to fill in all those blanks. Someone else already did that. I'm like, yeah, it's so interesting. So like if there's an idea I don't get, it's still leading to my next idea, and it's still whatever those neural pathways are that make Doreen's design DNA, those pathways are still being like honed and honed. So it is sad not to capture every idea, but if we think about it in terms of like abundance and lack, it's like, you know, that you get a steady stream of ideas. And maybe those ideas you don't get to capture are just reminders that you're born for this, and that lives and breathes in you, and it's who you are, and that it's really kind of like supernatural and intuitive. And that's amazing. How beautiful is it that the universe will keep reminding you that every day? I just want to see what Paula said. Laura, when I was in graphic design, once I thought of a great design idea, it was a fun ride after that, completing the project. Isn't it fabulous when we actually get to bring it to fruition? And you know when they talk about the experience of contrast leading us to clarity? So when you are struggling with, oh, I just lost another idea, that helps fuel you for seeing through the other ideas, right? That actually reminds you of how much you want to grab one and run with it. So the lost ones actually help you complete the ones you do complete. Paula, Lord, oh, that went up twice. No. Oh, shoot. Doreen said no, and I missed what she was responding to. Patty, a lot of ideas just pop into my head because that's what you are. That's what you do. That's who you are. Right? Yes, I do. So I'm going to definitely bring you to, I could chat with you ladies all night. So I'm going to turn around and we can still chat. Oops, I always forget to flip it to the tabletop. Hello, tabletop. Okay, so for example, you see all these shadows? Those are my paintbrush shadows. Now, you can use paint to render a print too. There is never a rule about you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. There just isn't. There's no rule. So, but I would use colored pencils to render this. And I have to admit that I'm so happy with this design, and I know that I would love to wear this. I often sketch with my own body in mind, and I wish that we all did, because I just think great design, and I have my opinions. Everyone has their own opinion. No one has to have my opinion. But wouldn't great design be by someone it was really relevant for? So for example, if I'm designing based on my life, my clothes, my desires, my body, my relationship to modesty or flashy flamboyance, to color, to texture, to, for example, I'm thinking of Doreen right now, her design DNA, ethical fashion, hand detailing, sacred goddess in the clothes, everyone, when you design for you, you really know who you're designing for. I mean, I think I create my classes for me, except that I'm not new at the skills that I'm teaching anymore. But in a way, I always want to be new at them, and teaching them at this, I love the newness. So I don't know what I'm trying to say, except that why not design for the customer you know best? Why not sketch for, people you're madly in love with, people intimately, it's just a thought, right? Rather than, I know in school it felt like we were just very much encouraged to design for who knows who. All right, so here's our girl. Just trying to get more light for you guys. I think if I tap the page, I get a little more light. I don't need, okay, guess what? I'm taping this down now. Do I need to tap it down? No, I don't need to tap it down, tape it down, but because I'm not painting anymore, so it's not going to wrinkle up. But guys, I don't care if you're painting with your 3-year-old, tape that paper down, because nobody wants to work with something that's sliding all over the place. First thing I do when I start painting with my 2-year-old is tape that paper down. I even tape the paint box down. And you can do this for yourself. You have a box of paint, you tape that down with a big slab of masking tape so it's not sliding all over the place. Okay, so one of my other naggy things that I'm always saying to students is, if you're not comfortable while you're working, this is not going to be comfortable, right? So you're going to want to make sure that your supplies are in an arm's reach. You're not hunched over. You want to make sure that your paper stays where you want it. Your paint stays where you want it. So your hand can be moving and not everything else, right? So all kinds of things you can do to set yourself up for success and pleasure. Oh, wait. I want to just check in with the comments. I found that wonderful during the holidays to draw the designs for people I was making the garments for. Doreen, I feel you so much here right now, because to be honest, in all the time I've spent, sorry, I'm just trying to fix the light, making fashion, real stuff that I make for people, the most pleasure I get is when I'm in gifting mode, because it's people I know and love. It's from my heart, and there's that time restraint where I am cranking this stuff out quickly enough to not sit too long on it until I ruin it. You know what I mean? That openness to let it come through really in the moment and then give it away with love. It's like, that is so much more gratifying than working for Gap Incorporated and seeing your overalls walk down Fifth Avenue. I swear, maybe, but we go out, we experience whatever we want. But at the end of the day, pay attention. It's good to know where your joy is. Not necessarily the joy of like what everyone else will think will be satisfying for you, but to really tune into like, wow, I just noticed that was like the most beautiful thing I ever felt. I don't know if you guys, I bet you guys can relate when I say this. Like, I've been to BAM and Lincoln Center and Paris and seen, concerts, operas, ballerinas, modern dance. Do you think I've ever seen anything as beautiful as like my 4-year-old dancing across my bedroom? And I'm not even saying just because I love them. Like, literally, the freedom, the natural expression and unstudied perfection of someone who's not judging themselves while they create. Like, it's just like, oh. In fact, for all the stuff I teach, I love quote unquote innocent art the best. I love seeing people the art of people who haven't quote unquote studied, because I feel like they have something I'll never be able to have again. I shouldn't say that, but it's true. So value your voice, whatever it is, wherever it is, because it's yours. It is yours. Even if you think you have quote unquote no skills, that's only because you're comparing yourself to someone. It doesn't actually mean anything at all. And someone with a whole bunch of skills is probably like jealous that they don't have the kind of way you do. So here is my tiny little swatch. It's really, really good to give yourself a more generous swatch on the side to practice rendering on. So like if I compare this to my real fabric swatch right now, I can make some observations. Like there's actually a darker raspberry here and a lighter white. So I can play with creating white stripes. And remember, I'm actually not going to be drawing these fabrics to scale on my model. They're going to be like way tinier. Right now I'm kind of drawing to scale. But I wanted to show you how like using the side of your pencil looks like two colors woven together, which is cool. The other thing is that when gouache does dry, if I actually press hard, let's say there were like patterns or flowers or something, they actually show up really, really rich and bright. Sorry, hang on. Wait, if I put my finger here, will it unblur? Yeah, like colored pencil sits. Shoot, I gotta resharpen that. You see how the colored pencil sits way on top of the gouache, like super opaque and crisp? So you can go from sheer and light to opaque and crisp, and you have that whole range with your Prismacolor pencils. And then the other thing is, yeah, I actually do need this like darker pink. And so I know I won't have exactly that pink in my box, but because the colors are sheer, you see this purple? Look if I use it by itself. Imagine what that's going to look like when it's layered over the pink. It's going to be like, you can always make do, guys. Once you believe that, it becomes true. It's not true until you believe it. Like most things in life. It's not true unless you believe it. So once you realize that having like a rainbow of pencils plus some grays, white, black, and some browns for like skin tones and makeup, if that's all you need, and everything else is like fudgeable. It really is. When I was a student, I used to go out to the art store and buy colored pencils a la carte, based on whatever project I was working on that week. And it's not actually that necessary, I promise. Okay, so we decided, this is not exact, but it's enough information for me to be like, oh, yeah, I got what I need. Oh, and you know what I just realized? Do you see that there's like a beige stripe in there? Who knew? It's beautiful. So only this stripe is the seersucker. And literally what I would do if I wanted to emphasize that seersucker, I would literally throw down little blobs of shadow tone over my fabric to emphasize the puckers. But since they're going to be so tiny, you always want to think of, what does this fabric look like when I step 6 feet away? What does this fabric look like when I step 12 feet away? You know, if she's wearing this, how many stripes are actually going to fit from right hip to left hip? You know, you got to scale it down. But okay, the other thing was I want to render print on this, and I got to admit to you, I don't want to commit because I have so many ideas right now, but I'm going to force myself to. And one thing that I could do is take my croquis. You can get this kind of dolls when you subscribe at fashionillustrationtribe.com. You'll get this book. Where'd it go? 100 fashion design inspiration prompts book. In the back of it, it has a bunch of different croquis. Oh, that was not a croquis, that was a sketch, but different bodies that you can lay under your paper to sketch clothes onto. And this is just like one of them. The reason I might want to do that is because before I paint her in, I wanted to, see. Oh my gosh, I literally feel myself catching such a cold, like, throughout this day today. Such a bummer. I'm going to use a mechanical pencil for a second because I am kind of doing flats sketching. I would like to have it next to her so that I could literally take this body and kind of sketch out the design a few different ways. I can't see it right now because I'm trying to fit everything onto the camera, right? And I've noticed that, like, for the past year, I've been obsessed with this, like, wings on the shoulders. Celeste, I'm doing this from memory. It may not be exactly the same version of the dress. It had gathers up here, gathers there, gathers here. This is a looser style of sketch. And actually, while we're here, I'm also inspired to have the whole thing be like baggier in a way and like looser. I don't even know how to express it, but I was thinking of this being more like having really soft elastic in it and being like very, not floppy, well, maybe very generous. I'm curious how generous, how much fabric I could have in it without, what's the word? Ruining the design. Hi, Angie.
Hi, how many cookies can I have?
Cookies? Did you have any pasta fagioli today?
No.
Why don't you have just a little bit?
Okay.
Although
then
I know.
How many cookies can I have?
Which cookie?
Like the chocolate chip.
Oh, like 2. They're super sweet. Okay, so this is the front, right? And again, interrupt me anytime and stuff with questions. So these are straps, and then these things that look like sleeves or something are really just like detached sort of wings. And I can change my mind about that. I could turn them into sleeves at any time. I can make little notes. I can make another note here. And then the thing is, if I want to start playing with this concept over and over, it helps to work with what we call flats, okay? I can keep drawing with this body under my paper. This is a sheer paper. And why am I doing that before I render here? Because we had talked yesterday about playing with the stripes. So I kind of wanted to see how this design was affected when I play with stripes. You know, like if stripes are moving in different directions, they're going to have different visual effects on the body. Like, I don't know, like this part could be on, these stripes could kind of be on bias, and I would get like a more fluid shape out of that. Or they could be straight down. Imagine if these stripes are running straight down, it's going to be a completely different look, right? So I don't want to commit until I've given that some thought. And then maybe I'm thinking of adding like some kind of a belt that's going to tie it center back. And then while I'm here, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm just going like stream of consciousness because I don't want you to think there's only one way. And there's so many formats you can work in. Maybe I'm overwhelming you. On the other hand, maybe that's liberating. I want to show you how I designed the back. And again, if these straps were unbiased, they're going to make a more flexible and stretchy bow. If they are on straight grain, it's going to be straighter and stricter. That's something to think about too. But like, remember we talked about the back view? I want to play with the back view too. There were two things I wanted to play with. Stripe direction. And of course, couldn't you think of like 20 different other ways I could deal with this? Another thing I was thinking is to have elastic waist and have the upper body be just one piece and eliminate this whole yoke vibe. Okay. So yeah, we could be here all day. And how happy am I? This is my happy place. So if I wanted to design the back though, what I would do is retrace the silhouette, and I promise you we're going to render that stripe before we say goodbye. I promise. Retrace exactly the silhouette of your front. And you guys can't see very well, but I'm really just tracing what I had already drawn. If you trace the outline of your front as a back, it's just the outline. Then I can make decisions about the back. So I'm thinking about what Paula said. Okay, I am very tempted to have an elastic casing here. I'm going to draw the edge of the elastic, and then I'm going to draw the little bunchies of the elastic. And I want it, see how it's sagging a little? I actually want it to sag down through like the small of the back a little bit. Kind of rushing right now, getting nervous because I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, how far can I get? Okay, so this is going to like dip down at her back. And then I want the straps from her shoulders in the front to become like this. Ooh, I got an idea. Literally like an oversized crisscross. I'm thinking as I do it. So when I'm thinking and designing at the same time, it's actually not a great idea to be drawing dark lines. It's a really good time to sketch lightly so that I can make decisions by seeing them and then changing course as I want, you know. I want to be able to back up, take back my ideas as much as I want. So if this is like this, I'll have one overlap the other, and then this one, I want them to be symmetrical. This one will go here. Am I doing that right? And then literally when they're tied, it's going to look different because they're going to be like... And if I don't like it, I can keep adjusting it. Okay, which I'm not particularly liking it, but I do know I'm on the right track for what I had in mind. So I can, take another piece of paper, lay it over here, trace it, and sketch a new version, or start over, whatever. Or I could say that's perfect, I love it, it's done, and I have a front and a back. But something else you want to do, if you have a sketch that gets busy, like between front and back, is you can darken out your front area so that only the design details of the back are like visible to the human eye. You know what I mean? So that you know where her skin would be showing versus... Okay, well, I took on a challenge. I wasn't planning to do the crisscrosses, but you know what? I'm getting there. I think I want the proportion to be a little different, but yeah. Okay, so let's say that I decided that this is the design I want. These diagonals or a horizontal stripe are going to make the hips look wider. It's going to make more of an hourglass body shape. If I did all vertical lines going down, it's going to look more like a slim hip or a slimming effect. And that's just the fact of how graphics and design work, like how the stripes influence her body. This got undone, so I'm gonna... How are you guys doing? Oh, and there was another thing I was gonna do with you tonight. Okay, we got just a few more minutes, so I'm gonna do it because I said I would. Which is shading the... We were going to shade the skin and shade the garment. So, really quickly, what we did yesterday, we had this paint box. We had our skin tone, and we have some black. So I'm going to use my wet... Is this full? No, this is empty. I'm looking at all my wet pens, but they're all empty. So I'm just going to use it as a regular paintbrush. I'm going to come over here. Oh, wait, this one's full. I'm going to pick up the skin tone from yesterday. You want it to be, definitely you want it to be the same color that you were using. Oh, give me a second, guys. I got to check something. All right. And then I'm going to add some black to it, because any color I've used, when I add black to it, it becomes, okay, this is not wet enough. It becomes the shadow tone. It recedes. So let's say I want to shade her skin. I'm going to shade maybe around her eyebrows. I'll often consider if, like, let's pretend there's a light source coming from one side above, and I can shade down the other side. Oh, skin tone, not the clothes. Let's shade this whole arm that's kind of behind her. And shade this. And definitely, you see how the legs look very flat right now? It's because they're all one tone. So this is where, when you don't like your drawings, you got to have that faith that you're going to like them more after you've shaded them. Shading just breaks everything up. So I always know when I don't like my drawing that I'm going to like it better later as I get further along. I know that now. You might not know that yet. When I shade, I usually shade half of everything so that everything has light and dark playing on it. All right, and then I have a feeling tomorrow I'm going to have like a terrible cold. And then I'm going to do the same for her clothing. So a lot. Most people are doing illustrations where if it's red, they do the shadow just more red. But I promise you, you see how good this shadow looks? How 3D it looks? That's because I darkened the color. So I'm going to take my pink, my base color of the clothing from yesterday. Oh my gosh. I need more. There's hardly anything there, but I think we're going to just get through this. I'm going to add some black to that. If you're feeling afraid, I urge you to add more black rather than less, because the more contrast you get, the more effect you're going to feel from your shadows. I'm going to do some shading in the crotch because that helps separate the legs from each other. Nothing should be one flat, solid color. That's what you're aiming for. I usually shade like under the bust. You see what happens visually when you add that little bit of shadow? People resist doing it like the plague, but it makes a real difference in the dimension of this girl. And, okay, I don't know if you noticed, but all these shadows I'm drawing are diagonal. That's like one of my secret sauces. Oh, I'm going to do a bigger shadow here. I forgot to draw her arm going into her pocket. Oops. You're going to have two kinds of shadows. You're going to have shadows like under the bust and near the crotch to define the landmarks of her body. Then you're also going to have shadows just where you have like design details like gathers. I mean, you could also just use a pencil for those later too, but it's nice to have some of them painted in. And some shadows are just going to be like shading one side of her kind of thing. Like, see her headband right now? It's all one color. Well, if I break it up, it's more realistic looking, period. Even her shoe, you know, I'm going to break it up. Have lights and shadows in everything. And don't worry, you still get one more chance to do lights and shadows when you, what do you call it? I just remembered something. And don't worry, I'm going to wrap up in a minute. I know a lot of you are waiting for me to wrap up. So I want to see if this video is appearing. Great. And actually, I also want to open for questions right now because, oh, we didn't add the stripes yet, so do that too. But I just wanted to, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I'm not allowed to share my post to my homepage. Okay. All right, so now, why did I shade before I rendered the pattern? Does anybody know? Anyone? Again, I can take as many breaks as I want to, you know, come back to my design pages. Guess what else I can do if I want? I can pick up more color and just like make my own markers. You know, I can play like this. Because guess what, guys? Oh, did you think there were rules? You know, like, yeah, any job or any purpose you have for what you're doing, you can make parameters and rules for what is needed, what is the purpose. But the fact is, you have endless possibilities, and I'm always happiest when I'm doing something I didn't realize I was going to do. And that's just my personality. But, you know, whatever rules I've set up for myself, I'm usually happiest if I've broken them. Something like that. So now I'm going to play with rendering my print, but I have two issues. One is I'm having a terrible time with my pencil sharpener. I don't know if I need a new one or something. And the other thing is I don't want to try to color on top of wet gouache. So let it rest, let it dry up. It's going to look very different on dry gouache. And then another thing is I kind of don't want to commit to the directions of the stripe right now, but I'm going to. I'm thinking about, as I do it, you know, if they were vertical stripes, how the stripes would get squished narrower, and do I want that or not? I'm definitely thinking with her headband, I want the stripes to go around, and then here they can like radiate because it's like a twist. I can think about, oh, this casing down here is going to be biased, so I can definitely make those diagonal. And it doesn't have to be photographic. So now I want to just give the impression of the stripes. I was having a hard time deciding. If I'm going to do the diagonal thing, I'm drawing this lightly first because hang on, I want to like plot it first. Bear with me. I think I'll do straight here. And then I think I'm going to do the bias again because I just think it's going to drape so beautifully, and I think clothes that have a lot of movement into them, and diagonals for me are always movement, are more forgiving to the female form than things that try to be very square and straight and perfect. The more square and straight and perfect everything is, the more I feel like it speaks of some kind of cold, hard perfection that I think of bodies as much more natural and uneven. And I don't like to I like clothes that are also uneven. Again, this is personal stuff. Ooh, while I'm here, I have a pink pencil. How fun will it be, even though I'm not done yet, how fun would it be to maybe add like branding or like stuff, fun stuff to the page. It's that kind of stuff at the end that can really get you excited about what you did in a new way. I will definitely add like a swatch to this page too. That would be fun. Okay, so I'm procrastinating. Again, I enjoyed doing that because I didn't plan to do it. Okay, now since I plotted out this stripe, what I wanted to mention to you is that I plotted it out lightly because if this is all gathered, then I do know that these stripes are actually going to be like wiggly. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to let you know is that when I've shaded a lot, I don't render my print in the shadows. So now this is going to be smoother because the bust fills in a lot. I'm just going to render my print where the light hits. And I'm being casual and easy about this because that's the mood of these clothes. Okay, if this was like red carpet gown with embroidery all over it, I might take more time. And also if it wasn't like the last minutes of the, okay. And again, I will step away after and, see what I think because I won't be happy with this until I'm happy with it. And that also depends on the purpose of the design. Like, is this to get the design idea across? Is it because it's an illustration? What's the end means of this sketch supposed to be? And I might add some of those purple lines in to remember how we used purple when we were rendering too. I might, if this is sheer pink up here, maybe I'm going to add some highlights to that white. Guess what else while I'm sitting here with my white colored pencil? I wonder if it'll let me zoom out today. Remember yesterday it didn't? Oh, God, isn't that the greatest question? Uh-oh. Rotate my phone. Okay. Whoops. One sec, I'll show you. I'm going to add a little bit of highlight to her skin, to her nose, to her lip. Oh, and I forgot to even think about her beads, which is kind of funny. If I want to, I could even add some highlight to her leg or her shoe. And then I'm going to rush through the last bit. Okay, so you know what I'm going to talk about? When you have, Patty asks, when you have a black fabric, how do you shade and design effects? So the big secret, if you ask me, with black fabric, and I'm literally going to, I was going to use her hair to demonstrate right now, is that this is not pitch black. If you use pitch black, then you have nowhere to go when you shade, right? And you know what I'm going to use for this demonstration? I'm going to pull out, remember yesterday we talked about the Turner gouache. Okay, I'm going to, there's no perfect answer for this either. Oh my gosh. You know what I just realized, guys? Sorry, this is a throwback from yesterday. But you see this beautiful tube of Van Dyke Brown, $10 tube of gouache? It's completely hard as a rock. Hard as a rock, completely dried up. Because probably during a live stream, I didn't close it all the way. It's a bummer. But when that happens in my paint boxes, I expect them to be dried up because they already are, see? I'm going to use a little blob of black gouache here. Oh, sorry, I wasn't on camera when I did it. Where did I put it? Here it is. And I'm going to notice that I can use the blackest gouache wherever my shadows are and let everything else be a little lighter. Oh, like totally. Yes, totally. So those are the two things I can do. So one is I could use a white pencil or even a a brown pencil if I want to add some highlights, and this could add texture. Or Patty if it was black. Like let's say her headband, it's not even black, but let's say I was adding sequins to it. You know, I could use opaque white, or let's say there's like beads that I've attached to it or something. I can add the highlights, and I can use, if I haven't blacked out completely, all right, I can use a black pencil. Of course, it's not sharp, to add contrast. So if it was actually a sequin, I'd want to have a high contrast of light to dark. Right, because super shine means bright, bright light highlight and black, black shadow close to each other. So maybe, actually this just looks like an awesome print, but if I add that, the shape of those beads into my silhouette, it becomes apparent to us that these are three-dimensional. That's like a really cool tip. Right, how to show that things are really 3D. Okay, so I can use white to add textures or stitch lines or light to my black fabric. You know, if it's velvet, maybe I take my white pencil and I sweep it a little bit to show that like shine on the velvet. But then the other piece, people struggle with this a lot with black, because if you water it down, it's not black. It's like gray, right? In fact, one of the things that looks really weird that people do a lot is they overly water down the hair color, and it just comes out to be like this light washy gray. So even if you're gonna do gray hair, mix up a gray and let it have opacity and body to it. Whereas just using a very, very, very thin black might look totally washed out. So what I just did now is I wet my brush, coming over to this black. It's hard fitting everything onto the little iPhone, right? But I want to mix less water into here now, so that I can get a darker black mixed into this hair. And if it was a dress, I'd be using this darker black like under her bust or any place that I had just used a shadow on the dress. And or, you know, not just details, but maybe certain full areas will also become black. And then another thing I can do, what was I just going to say? Large areas of opaque black. Shadows. If I said the light was coming from the right, maybe the whole left-hand side of her hair will become blacker. And that variety creates dimension. Her hairstyle just grew off the page. I'm a little bummed about that because I didn't like plan it before I did it, and I'm hoping that I like it. Shall see. I can always, well, I can't erase anything. This isn't digital. And now let me, why can't you just use my pencil to your hair? Okay, got that. Thank you, Paula. That's true, and that's useful and helpful. And that's it again, guys. It's that there's not a right or a wrong. And a really cool thing you can do is play only. One of the reasons I bought this huge tube of black, is to sit down with a cup of water, sketch and watercolor paper, a brush, and black. Nothing but black. And play with that interplay of light and dark. To play with just light and dark. I mean, the first thing we did in art school, even before we got into fashion at all, and Paul, I'm sure you went through this too, the first thing we did was nothing but working in black and white for like ever. And who knew how fascinating that could be, and how much the interplay of light and dark on things before we ever add color to it tells information, tells stories. And that's kind of, no matter what you're doing, light and dark is always happening in the background of it. At least if it's like realistic kind of stuff, right? So now what I'm doing, and I didn't say what I was doing, but I'm using this graphite to add some clean black outlines to things. Because like we said, your paint masks all your lines, right guys? I'm going to put some shadows under these beads to make them pop a little more. Her neck is like unrealistically long and skinny. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, and then like I might darken maybe one side of her body more than the other to emphasize that the light is coming from the right. I might just put more shadows down the left. Oh, I'm zoomed. Okay, and then here I could do like because there's this sheer fabric, it casts a shadow. So I can add shadows with my pencil as well as I can with my paintbrush. It's just that the paint shadows always seem more fluid, more natural and lively than if you did everything with shading. I mean, otherwise we just illustrate with colored pencils all day, you know? All right, and then my last step would be I could use white. Now, if this were a black garment, Patty, I could be doing this with a white or a gray pencil. It's like I still have, I can come back now and reiterate my any design details that have disappeared over my rendering, over my paint. I can come back and add in the gathers and guys, I'm thinking of adding a few more masterclass to this series this week. So let me know any specific topics. I'm going to zoom in here now for a minute and take my, just kind of play with that. I had a lot of fun with this. I'm super excited and satisfied. The rendering isn't so, I forgot to show you another rendering technique for how we could do that with paint. But honestly, because I have the fabric in my hand and I'm thinking of making this, that's like all the information I need to be happy with that. I might come back tomorrow morning and decide to make the stripes more pronounced, more bright or something. But I'm pretty happy with it. Let's flip this around. And I am excited to work with you guys too. So this way, these free classes are a great opportunity for us to get together and work together, and I just adore that. So yay, thank you for being here, because it's such a joy for me to do it with you. And at the same time, just for anyone who's new to the community, I want to make sure you know that the courses, I'm in the courses. So you can post your pictures, you can post your questions. It's all on fashionillustrationtribe.com. Header menu, courses, drop-down menu, all the courses are there. And if you make sure on my email list, because when I send this replay out, it's going to come with links for special prices. End of January, all the carts close. Thanks, guys. And thanks for staying. I know we went over, so you are free to go. I'm going to leave some information here at the end for anyone who's signing on for the courses. I might just like rattle off the names and what they're about for people who don't already know me. Thank you for the hearts. As an old periscoper, like there's nothing I love more than watching hearts float up the screen. Is anyone using Periscope anymore that's here? Let me know. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for telling your friends. Thanks for bringing your creative spirit. And actually, we didn't have a lot of Q&A, and I love your Q&A. So add it to the comments, add it now or anything. Come back anytime. Love you too. And I hope I see you soon, Patty. And all of you will have more live streams throughout the month as this enrollment charge goes on. So, and now I'm going to rattle off the classes for people. So the main one is Freedom Fashion is 4 months. So you have, you can take as long as you want, but it's like a semester class. So we have 16 modules of design drawing. It's beginner friendly, and you take it as far as you can, as far as you want to. And I'm here to help you walk through all the kinks along the way. We do technical drawing or line sheets. We do model drawing. We do Gouache in depth, we design our own collections. We talk about mood boards, fabric swatches, and final illustrations, as well as creating a design sketchbook, mood boards, inspiration boards. All of that is in there so that you have a toolbox of not only your art supplies, but formats that you can use to express fashion through. There are endless formats. And honestly, the best one is always the one that's going to keep you energized, I think. Or for any professional setting, whatever's going to most communicate what you need to communicate visually. But behind what you're communicating visually, there's always the creative side. And I know that's where we probably have the most fun. So I like to spend a lot of time on that. The other thing I want to let you know is Model Magic is my model drawing boot camp. So it's all about figures. It's a smaller course, but it's deep, it's intense, and it's a lifetime course you never grow out of. And it's very much about busting myths about drawing and design and art and the way art is made and the way art supplies are used and the way you can express yourself. Because I think we all grew up with a lot of myths that just blocked us and made it really hard for us to create art, made it scary. So this is a wonderful class. I think the expression of figures is so powerful and deep, and that this class is very much about tapping into your intuition as well and accessing deeper emotions in your art and liberating yourself while getting more skilled. Isn't that a funny combo? My About Faces course focuses on faces, frontal, profile, and three-quarter view, and hair and features, all the features of the face, getting them proportional, shading them, creating faces because they're so expressive and they require their own special attention. I struggled with them for a long, long time. After I could draw bodies and stuff, I still couldn't deal with faces. And they're so personal that we have a really strong reaction when we're not happy with them. But that About Faces class, you could do it on paper, but you're going to get a lot more out of it if you use like an iPad or an iPhone or a digital device, because I teach it using digital apps. So you're also going to learn my favorite apps for fashion illustration using faces as the topic. Other course that's there is the Fall Stripes Winter Wear, but that's really something you add on after you've done the foundation course, Freedom Fashion. We have pattern making and draping, which you get to work out your own design in that class. We do so much of it with quarter scale patterns, just so you can get fluent in the language of how patterns work. But I also show you full scale how I drape and bring down the muslin to true up a pattern. You're going to learn all the language around muslin and fabric and the parts and locations on the body, all of that dressmaker, tailor, couture, fashion language. What are notches for? Where do they go? What's seam allowance? And the thing is, you can do it all and become a technical master, or you can watch it all and just become deeply fluent in the language of fashion design. By the way, my book is called The Language of Fashion Design, 26 Principles Every Fashion Designer Should Know. That's available on Amazon. It's easy to find. And it's also in a bunch of other languages, which you probably do not need. And I wanted to mention, I'm sure there's one more course. There's a bunch. Design Infusion, which is 8 one-hour webinars all bundled together. Everything from color theory to model drawing to fabric to flats to kind of ethnic clothing, roots of fashion, pattern cutting, and what else is in there? Color and design. I do some digital drawing in there. I do gouache illustration and sketchbook techniques for creative fashion design. That class is called Design Infusion. It's also smaller than Freedom Fashion. It's 8 hours. And there's one called Fashion Design Illustration Process, which is really just all the videos from the course I created for Parsons. That's takes you from blank paper to finished illustrations for like a 4 outfit collection, And every step of rendering every print, mixing every color, every bit of art supplies I use, everything that the students in that class would need to know is in there. And I've added homework to that one, as well as design infusion, so that you can put everything you're learning and seeing into practice. These are all posted on fashionillustrationtribe.com. They are also all linked in Instagram. And if you're on my email list, I'll be emailing out the replays with coupons throughout the month, all like limited edition, limited time coupons, getting people into the programs and courses. Coaching, of course, is one-to-one meetings throughout the week, or we have meetings, it could be every other week or every week, 1 hour, one-to-one video calls. And regardless, if you don't have the coaching, I'm still hopping in and out of the classes. Spread the word to your friends. The more people we have in, the more fun we have together, the more we grow as a community, and the less part-time jobs I have juggling around, because this is where I want to be. The more that Fashion Illustration Tribe is thriving, the more I can create and grow and do with you all. And I love it. Okay? So thanks for joining me. I love you so much. Don't hesitate to share this stuff out. Tell a friend. Invite a friend. The home page of my website until the end of January at fashionillustrationtribe.com already has for you a free 6-video bundle mini course. It's actually 7 videos, because one of them has a password on it. All about model drawing and mindset. 2 things you would want to begin your fashion journey on. No, you don't have to be a model drawer to be a fashion designer, fashionista, or anything. But through model drawing, we hone our drawing skill, which is always useful, even if you never really plan to draw much at all. It even helps you with your pattern making. But another piece of this is that model drawing is a container. It's a space. It's a place in which we explore, in which we tap into intuition, in which we extend our expression, inner, outer expression, mind, spirit, heart. We bring it all together. Model drawing per se, it's so much more than what we think it is. So there you go. Love you so much. I'll see you soon. Thanks for being with me. I appreciate you. Bye.